an interesting coming here for business anyway, just to meet Neighbor and Down.
So did you arrange the meetings already, or?
It was interesting. Neighbor just asked me to speak at Neighbor, so I'm giving.
Like internally?
Yeah, I don't know how many people are going to be at the talk. Is this 50 or?
Well, now they want to record it so that you got my email. See if you're okay if they record it or not. They said it's only for internal employees.
Yeah, I think it's okay.
Yeah. But I think at the thing, I think it's going to be 50 to 60.
Yeah. So they have asked me to speak in the offer.
Right.
So it was very nice of them. There's a lot of business here for us because we are particularly inspired by what Neighbor and Down have been doing, and so we want to meet them and understand more about it. Because I'm constantly having Korean people in my family or outside my family pull up Korean websites and translate them for me. I might translate them to Google Translator, but I have them explain them to me a little bit because my Korean's not so good.
So even on Google Translator, Korean to English or English to Korean is not really very fast. I mean, it works really well between Korean and Japanese, or maybe English and Spanish, but Korean and English is not really good.
No, but it would teach you a little bit about what something might be about. You know, like I didn't know what cafe.neighbor was. And then I realized it's groups. But you wouldn't know from cafe.
Right. Actually, it started with Down. Down actually put the moniker there, and cafe was like the most popular internet property. It's like huge. Down.
The cafe is just message boards.
Message boards, groups, but it's got like a small, tiny stuff that like icons and small messenger, like all this cool stuff. Yeah. So it's actually, if you just call it like a BBS, there's actually a little bit more to it. It shows you who's logged on right now. So it's like a real time who's logged on thing, stuff like that.
Very cool.
Very interesting. I mean.
And then Neighbor knowledge base is fascinating to me. And what was Down's called before? Because Neighbor took the idea from Down, the knowledge base.
No. Neighbor actually took the idea from someone else. Impasse, but it was not Down. But anyway. Impasse, yes. EMPAS. Impasse is another
Korean company.
Yeah, Korean company.
How are they doing now?
They're one of the portals, but they're not really successful. Not really top 5, I guess.
Sometimes it's not the first person, it's the second person.
Right. So they just need.
We have an expression in the United States: first person up the hill. Gets the arrows.
Right. Probably that case. But anyway, knowledge in it's called knowledge in, by the way. It's got like 80 million entries, and Wikipedia is like 7 million.
7 million worldwide, 2 million English.
Right, and Neighbor knowledge. I mean, it's like a short form content, but 80 million entries. It's like amazing.
Right. And most of them are just like, who's the president of the United States, or are they like in the form of a question?
It can be anything actually. It can be as simple as that. But you'll be amazed by some of the questions and answers there. For example, like a medical thing, very professional thing. And then one thing interesting is that people realize, well, this is where the eyeballs are, right? So
now all the
like commercial, right? So it's like, okay, so where can I buy like BMW car, right? Where's the cheapest, the best deal? And then after probably like 3 seconds of you posting it, there's like this dealer, right, writing that. Okay, well we have this, but sometimes it's a little difficult to divide the lines between spam and or like commercial and real knowledge.
So that's their challenge,
right?
And they have moderators or no?
They do have a moderator, but it's like a post moderation.
Yeah.
So they just take out the bad ones.
And those get indexed really well in Neighbor search. So when you search Neighbor, you get blogs, cafe, and knowledge.
Universal search.
Right.
So.
Right.
By the way, am I like interrupting your?
No, you're asking questions. They were asking.
You're okay. You're gonna stand there.
All right.
It's okay.
Yeah. We're just. I mean, he's obviously interested in Korean.
Yeah. Well, I'm interested in a different approach to knowledge and search. In the United States, the leader gets to pick how people think.
Right.
And so here, Neighbor gets to pick how people think, because people are generally I'm talking about in the industry.
Right.
People in an industry are generally followers. Most people are not leaders. Because if you're a leader, you get criticized. And if you're a follower, you don't. It's very easy to follow rather than lead. And so Naver leads, and so it's everybody's going to follow what they do here. So everybody does universal search. Everybody does knowledge in. Everybody does cafe. Whoever, and Down has to fit this. Everybody follows. And they were talking about that in the last panel. Everybody follows YouTube. But YouTube didn't follow anybody. And Empass didn't follow anybody. And Down for cafe didn't follow anybody. So it's very, it's an art in business to know when to follow and when to be a leader.
Right.
If you are a leader, you will you'll have
all the wins.
more negativity as well. Yeah,
Right.
more wins, more negativity. So you basically have to be prepared for the arrows to come at you if you're going to come up with new ideas. So in the United States, we started talking about human-powered search and launched Mahalo and got, from some people, a very harsh response that it will never work. Humans can't be involved in search. And I said, that's interesting because in Korea, 90% market share is human. So I guess,
Yeah, I guess the question is like this. Google is like one powerful search engine, but it can only index the web pages, right? It doesn't like tap into people's heads.
Right.
And sometimes when you try to search for, try to find information, if you're really good, you know exactly what search keywords to query, right? But in more cases, people don't really understand. They're just curious about something, but they don't know exactly what type of queries they have to put in, right? They don't just get the right context. So what people normally do is just ask people, right? So Naver was really smart because they kind of took the cues from there. So they created a system where people can ask questions to other people, so that thereby tapping on people's picking on people's head, I guess.
they can mine it.
Yeah. So,
It's a natural resource.
right.
They're leveraging a natural resource.
And they also create the honor system,
Right.
which actually gives a motivation to people to. Sorry, I just let you guys interview.
Yeah, go ahead.
Have you ever heard about Hatena?
No. Hot or not?
Hatena,
Hatena.
Japanese company.
It's a question mark in Japanese, maybe.
They released the Hatena human-powered search engine in few
Yeah, something like that, yes.
years ago, around maybe 10 years.
More than 10 years ago or so, and maybe
What is it? It's a simple Q&A system, and not like Mahalo, but it's working quite well in Japan right now, and many people are throwing questions.
the other person will respond that, and the other example is also it's an OpenWeb. It is.
Yeah.
Yes. OpenWeb is founded. Actually, that was founded several years ago. Actually, and as far as I know, it is maybe the local company of yes, it's big. OpenWeb subsidiary is coming to Korea. Is it already maybe?
How do you spell the HT?
Hatena is Hatena. Hatena. Hatena.
HATENA.
Yes.
I haven't.
Yes, it's a question mark. And maybe the president of the company it had a subsidiary here also in Silicon Valley, maybe San Jose or somewhere else in the city, in the area, and they have some studies about searching or mining the data or something like that. But maybe the company CEO gave up the the study there, and then he was going back to the office was moving to Kyoto actually. Before that, the office was in Tokyo, but it was moved to the Kyoto, and maybe the company is around 5 years old or 10 years old or some sort of thing, maybe I think.
You were saying Hatena is now recently starting to get more popular?
Well, it's still very geeky, like dig.com.
Right.
They're providing social bookmark and some blogging system and everything, quite everything. But still,
Everything
it's
in Web
among-
2.0.
It's popular amongst geeks.
Like a very men.
Yeah,
like Dig.
yeah, like dig. So,
But it came out a long time ago.
yeah.
But
Like,
only recently starting to.
well, they started the first service 10 years ago, and gradually creating more and more services. Actually, they are creating clones of Silicon Valley systems like Delicious or
Interesting.
yeah.
Okay, so
And congratulations on your success on TechCrunch 50.
oh, thank you.
There are 3 companies from Japan, right?
Yes. We're shocked that for such a huge country of 1 billion people, that you only had 6%.
How many applications from Japan?
Over 1,000 applications overall.
Oh.
From Japan, maybe 10, 15, I think.
10, 15.
I saw maybe 10 or 15. I saw 250. So I think maybe overall probably 30. Maybe up, I don't know the exact number, but I would guess 20 to 30. I saw 10 to 15.
I see.
And last year we had a couple too. Asia has been very well represented. Korea and Japan are both doing very well. China not so much, but definitely, and also Taiwan we had this year. A couple of Taiwan. Yes, they didn't make it in, but they were interesting. Very close.
How do you find about the Japanese presenters?
Japanese presenters.
Tonchidot?
Tonchidot did a wonderful job. They had definitely the best presentation. It was very funny, obviously. And they also had what most people consider the most innovative idea. So it was also the probably most innovative, but also least likely to become a real business. So in other words, most challenging. But which also means probably biggest opportunity, if they figure out how to make it work. But I don't think they know how to make it work. So it was awesome that they presented. We like to have a range of companies, from an idea that is absolutely going to be a big business. Like we can say with certainty, Bird Post, Good Guide, and Yammer are going to be successful. It's obvious that they are very good products.
Yeah.
With Tonchidot, it's a better, more interesting technology and much more creative, but is it going to be as successful?
Yeah.
Who knows? It'll be very difficult to know.
Yeah.
So
How do you find about Gazupa?
Gazupa, how did we find out about them? What do I think of them? What do I think of them?
Yeah.
I always thought that Gazupa was very interesting. I like it a lot. Search company like Bad Images. There are a lot of companies who are solving the same problem, but I think that they have a good spin. Interesting. So if the company is for sale, is it Mitsubishi or Samsung? Who knows?
Hitachi.
Hitachi.
Yes.
Hitachi wants to sell it, we might be interested. I think it's very interesting technology.
Are you accepting a application from that big company? Not
Yeah,
really a startup.
No, but it was a startup inside a big company. So we don't want to penalize them and say, big company can't launch something interesting. So what we say is the product has to launch at TechCrunch 50. That's the rule. If the product is by Microsoft or Google, maybe we would have them, maybe not. But we thought in this case, it was interesting enough to say, okay, we don't have, the rules are, we're making the rules up as we go in some cases, because it's a very new conference, so it's only 2 years old. So we thought it's an innovative project, it's a very small team, and it came out of Hitachi, but they wanted to be a new company, right? So, okay, we have a chance. For Google, if Google were to launch, I don't know, new image search, or they did launch a product, they launched the new newspaper search, right? The new newspaper. We let them launch, but not in competition. So they can show it, but they can't compete for the $50 million. So we have to make a decision based on what we think is fair, but it's not a perfect decision process yet. But it's pretty good. We got 52 really good
this year, did you have someone from Google or Microsoft or other big companies this year?
Present.
One of the winners, maybe.
Oh, no, they weren't in competition, but Marissa Mayer came and launched the newspaper search, where you can actually see the actual papers with ads on them, and she was a judge, and Google was a sponsor. Google was very involved in the event. Google's original investors are involved in the event, and a couple of Google people and a Google alumni were involved in the event. A lot of Google, Yahoo, Microsoft people at the event, as you would imagine.
Have you ever been to Japan?
I will be in Japan in 1 month's time, for the first time.
What's that?
So who would you, I mean, as a competition, for example, Mahalo.com, who would you be your competitors? Like, how would you define them?
In the United States, we're not in competition with the search engines because we don't have enough knowledge in the database yet for it to really be a competitor. It will take 5 years for that to happen, but we're getting there, and we're not big enough to put a dent into Wikipedia yet, so we're not a competitor to them. But I think our service, as currently designed, our service is 50% Wikipedia, 50% handwritten Google. So it's eventually, if it reaches scale, if we get to 1 million pages, 2 million pages, I think maybe 5% of the search market might be interested in using, maybe 1 to 5% of the search market will be interested in using us first. And the rest of the people we get will come to us if they find us in a search result.
Right.
Which we think is okay.
The blogging, should I say break or of yours?
Retirement.
Blogging, yeah. You recently kind of like quit, blogging permanently, right? Is it like forever or for the time being?
I retired.
Yeah.
In August.
Are you enjoying it?
Very much. Very much. I was one of the top, 10 bloggers, top 20 bloggers for 5 years, and
I've been following you.
It's exhausting. And what happens over time is when you get to the top, then everybody starts throwing rocks constantly. And it's not that I like debate. Everybody knows that. But when the debate becomes just stupid, then it's very boring to me. I like intelligent debate, and the people who are coming to debate me were...
Just for the sake of it, maybe?
Not even that. They were stupid.
Oh, okay.
And so, who's the bigger fool? The person who, says something stupid, or the person who tries to correct them? It's like, I don't need to debate them. Debating a bunch of idiots makes you look like an idiot. So I decided to take the conversation, and I decided to challenge myself to write only once every week or two, but write something that was maybe twice as much effort as I would put into the blog, and then email it only to my friends and see what happens.
Right.
And what happened was, how many people? Originally? How many people now? It's like almost 9?
About 10.
Okay, so almost 10, I think. 1,000 people have signed up in under 3 months, so just over 2 months.
You gotta add me.
Did I add you? No.
No, you gotta add me.
Yeah, you have to sign up yourself. I don't sign anybody up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I could have dumped my whole Gmail box in there, but I didn't want to sign anybody up because I don't want anybody to complain that I signed them up to spam.
I'll find my way. So,
although we ask people now at conferences if they want to be signed up to give trial of the card.
Right. I really like the, there was one of the long pieces, like recently about the
economy.
Right, economy.
Startup depression.
Right.
Yeah, that piece was picked up.
Pretty good. Yeah.
That was picked up in probably over 100 news outlets. like 5 news outlets in Germany, 3 or 4 in Israel, like BBC, Times of London, New York Times, Washington Post. It got picked up everywhere. It's amazing. Well, I wrote the piece on September 27th before the stock market crashed.
Right.
So I wrote it 2 days before the worst 2 weeks in the history of the stock market.
That was pretty prescient.
Lucky.
Yeah.
But prescient.
So, what is your outlook? I mean, are we doomed or anything? I mean, what do you think? I mean, about this whole economy thing.
The United States has a record low savings,
Yeah.
record debt as a country, record debt as an individual, record ownership of our debt by foreign companies, and a record amount of debt to our GDP.
Right.
And so you can't set records in all the bad things and not expect it to be good. So we're record setting in things we shouldn't. We should be record setting in personal savings, education, freedom, democracy, and innovation, and being open and letting people enter the company. So all the things that we should be number 1 in, we're not. And the things that we shouldn't be number 1 in, we are. That means that as a country, we eventually we're a very sick patient. The United States has cancer, and so we have to go into chemotherapy and surgery and everything to get this cancer out of us, and then we'll be healthy again, and we'll live a very healthy life. But right now, we've been doing too many bad things in the world. And the problem is, the U.S. is a leading economy, so as the U.S. goes, China goes. As China goes, Korea, Japan will go. As Japan, Korea, Philippines, and China go, Australia goes. So Australia's big exports go here, to Asia. So it's and Europe obviously is in a no-growth phase. So you have Europe not growing. At the same time, the United States is collapsing, and we have to spend 10 years paying off this debt, which means I think it's going to be somewhere between 5 and 10 years of flat growth or slow growth. But that's not a big deal, because an entrepreneur can build great products in a slow market. Google was built in a slow market. It's not going to be a stock market, but it's possible advertising could go off for a couple of years and pause. You'll still be there, but it won't have as much growth, which means a company like Google next year could lay people off. And that sounds crazy right now, but Yahoo is laying people off, eBay is laying people off, Microsoft.
eBay,
I think Microsoft will. So the lead indicator for me is when Google lays people off, because Google has tons of money. They have very principled founders, and they've had only 10 years of growth. So now they're going to face 10 years of difficult market conditions, and how they behave will be a good indicator, I think. So when you see them lay people off, buy a gun. No, I'm just kidding. But if they start laying people off, then it's a pretty good sign that it will be a long recession. If they don't lay people off, it will probably be a shorter one, 2 or 3 years. So right now, that's I think the question: is it a 2 or 3 year recession or a 5 to 7 year recession, or maybe 10? Right. Japan had 10 year recession. But the last 10 years in Japan, you guys have had no fun, right? Nobody was allowed to laugh. You weren't allowed to eat good food, right? Only bad food. And television, you're not allowed to watch TV anymore. No laughing, right? Only once a year you're allowed to laugh. Of course. What happens in the market, people pay too much attention to, I think.
I mean, trust me. I mean, there's like many interesting stories I can share with you in terms of Google. I mean, we were. Probably I should say this off the record, but you know that our company was the last company to be acquired by Google. It was tough, man. I mean the opportunity, the window, it's pretty much shutting, and I mean there's all kinds of stories I can tell you maybe if I'm drunk.
I think you'll see Google will actually.
Sorry, I'm gonna take this call. I'm sorry.
Google, Yahoo, and Microsoft are going to. I think start selling companies that they bought. So the ones that are not critical, they will sell. So you stumble upon is for sale. Skype probably for sale. Don't be surprised if Yahoo sells Delicious or something. Other services.
조지력 다 나갈 때까지 기다리려고 또 있어요. 네. 아, 그래요? 그래서 어떻게 해야 되죠, 그러면? 그러니까 저희도 그래가지고 그 조절을 하고.
Are you planning Japanese version of Mahalo? Japanese or any other?
그게 안 되더라고요.
Not right now.
통째가 그게 되냐고.
We need to reach 10 million visitors, unique visitors in the U.S. We have 4.6.
네, 그거 저희가.
So we're 46% of the way to the goal. We have to get 100%.
저희 이거 끝나고 이제 계산을 해야 되잖아요.
I know that you're also invited to, you're now invited to the Infinity Venture Summit or something.
Yep, be the opening keynote.
It will be in Miyazaki or somewhere else in Japan. And is it sort of your kind of promotion activities for Japanese market, or Mahalo or something like that?
No, I'm going to school.
Oh, really?
I'm getting my, I'm learning right now. So, at the end of the year I wanted to learn a lot. So now we are, made our trip to Korea, which is long overdue. Making a trip to Japan, which is long overdue. We're going to Brazil, Paris, which we've been to many times. Munich, been to many times. And we went to London, which we've been to many times. And we also went to Athens on this trip. So this fall, 7 countries. In 3 months.
So many.
This has been I've been on the road for 16 days. I'll be 18 days on the road for this one trip. So it's a long trip, but worth it. We're trying to learn. So we want to meet, what's the name of the Answers company? The Answers company, the question company?
Answers?
No. Company you mentioned in Japan, Answer.
Takeda? The
Which company?
Question mark.
Hatena.
Hatena?
With an H.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Hatena. So we would like to meet Hatena and understand what they've learned maybe. They can teach us. Just like here, we're learning. So for us, this is education. Everybody says I'm very, it's very funny when we come to this market, everybody says, oh, we're very interested in learning from what you know. I know very little. But it's good to learn from everybody else. Every time we go somewhere, we learn a lot. So we're trying to learn as well. That's the point. So, not promotion. But if maybe in 2 years we have enough traffic and a good model, maybe somebody will want to work with us. Who knows? But now it's too soon. Sure. Sure.
Do you know any service or website from Japan?
Some water. Thank you. Well, I know there's Goo, right? NTT Goo.
Yeah.
And Yahoo's #1. And you have NTT Docomo. It's very popular, right? On phones, very high speed. And you have Technorati. Twitter is very popular now as well.
Yeah, they have a subsidiary also.
6 apart, 6 apart, and TypePad very popular, right? Joe Ito.
Yeah.
He brought 6 apart there.
Yeah, he's the chairman of that.
They licensed it to somebody big, NTT maybe. Who did they license?
Of what? For
Many companies.
The blocker.
It's a
6 apart, yeah.
It's a Nifty maybe. Nifty has a license to doing the business with that
Nifty is
technology.
quite a big company. Yeah, which is the subsidiary.
So I mean, well, this is my theory maybe, but I was actually in Mountain View last week, visiting the headquarters, and it was like, I've been to Silicon Valley many times, but it was after like a pretty long time. So I think Silicon Valley is the area where we can feel it the most. So when there's a boom, you can feel it right there. If it's bust, you can feel it right there too. Whilst in maybe Chicago or other areas, it's not really that bad, right?
Well,
so it's during the boom time, right? If you go to Silicon Valley, Taco Bell, right? There's a drive-through lane, and everybody drives a Mercedes-Benz.
There's a big difference there, which is last time, the boom and the bust were because of the dot-coms.
Right.
This time, it had nothing to do with the dot-coms. This time, it has to do
with... Greater the whole thing?
It's actually better if it was the dot-coms, right? Because we have control over it, we could solve it. We didn't have control over 9/11, as an example, in terms of a market crash and advertising going away, and we didn't have control over the accounting scandals last time, Enron and Arthur Andersen. So those things put a chill on business globally, and especially in the United States for a couple of years, which is to be expected. This one, real estate, the difference between this one and the last one is the last one was corporations had a recession. They spent too much money, had too much overhead, they got ahead of themselves. So they had to downsize. This time it's the consumer, which is everybody. They have to stop spending. They have to pay down their debt. It could take people bankruptcy or years of working in a down market. It's harder to make money in a down market, so they're going to take years to clean up their finances. It could take them 5 years. Some people, 3 years, 5 years to clean up their balance sheet. They might have $20,000 in credit card debt. They might have a $50,000 home equity loan. They were going around telling every single person in America when they got their mortgage, we'll give you the mortgage, sell you the house, put 10% down or nothing down, and then we'll give you $100,000 back to do improvements. They were desperate to give everybody as much money as possible, as quickly as possible, which is why the economy was doing so well, because everybody was spending that money on cars and other stuff. Is this judgment? Judgment? Oh.
How do you know it's judgment?
How do I know judgment? How do I not know it? I told you I'm learning. This is my wife's favorite dish. Is it good?
Should be.
Yes or no? Good? It's good? Okay? Okay, good. I always find the interesting question to ask people is the most simple one. The interesting reaction. If you ask somebody if something is good at a restaurant, they'll tell you. Nobody does that.
But I don't really get it, because didn't you? There should have been some signs, right? The things coming.
Oh, everybody knew. I was writing about it 2 years ago. I said the recession would happen last summer.
So
I was wrong.
People now?
What's that?
Whatever. They just stuck their heads in sand or what? Whatever people did about those signs.
Well, the problem is the economy moves very fast now. And so it's sort of like if there was a plane. And it was coming down and it was going to crash in the harbor. We could sit here and it was going, a couple hundred miles an hour. We could sit here if it was coming straight at us and watch it for 2 minutes. Couldn't stop it. We all know it's not going to be good, but that's what happens. The train is going too fast and nobody can stop it in time. So when you have modern day capitalism, driven by electronic markets, driven by a lack of regulation, and then the incentives are a major problem. The incentive structure it is the problem with incentives. You incent people to, if you incent people the wrong way, it can have a profound impact. So it's like the environment, right? So if we give everybody air conditioning and it's hot outside, they're incented to turn it on. And if we tell everybody, do not put it on under this number of degrees, everybody stay at 75 degrees. If you put it down to 65 degrees, we're going to blow the circuit. Nobody has air conditioning. People in a group will just act in their own best interest. And so that's why we have brownouts. They tell people every year in California, do not put your air conditioner below this amount. Do not turn off everything, you know, or else everybody's going to lose everything. It still happens because, you know, there's no oversight. If they had it so nobody could put it below 70 degrees on those times, that would be better. So that's why the wisdom of the crowds is false. There is no wisdom in crowds. There are trends in crowds. But sometimes people want to believe certain things. And so people want to believe that there's wisdom in crowds. There isn't. And so that's what would happen, is you had this wisdom in the crowd saying, housing pricing is going up, which was good for individuals. They saw their house get bigger.
Yeah.
It was good for individuals that they could get a home equity loan and make their kitchen brand new, because then they said, oh, my house is now worth more money. They felt better. And they could, you know, buy a new car and feel better, and they could invest in businesses and feel better. The unfortunate thing was,
bubble grew and grew.
yeah, nobody was saying, okay, are you ever going to be able to pay this back?
Yeah.
Are you ever, is there somebody else who's going to buy this house for 100 times what they make a year in salary? You know, if it's 10 times what you make a year in salary, that's one thing. It can't be 100 times or 50 times. Who are buying houses that are 50 times their salary? That's impossible to pay back. Somebody's making $100,000 a year and they 50 times and they buy a $5 million house. If they have a $100,000 salary and they buy 5 times their salary, it's going to be, you know, take 20 years to pay off. And the brokers, the only incentive the brokers had was closing commission. So they actually got more money if they put you into a more risky loan. So if they got you to take a 50-year mortgage or 40-year mortgage or variable arm, they got a bigger commission. They should have gotten less of commission. The proper incentive structure should be whatever's safer and more likely to be paid back, we'll give a better commission on it. But since there were no more customers like that, everybody who was a safe customer already had a house. They had to find new customers. So they said, okay, let's find new customers. It'd be better if the real estate agents got paid their fee over 10 years. So they get paid nothing for the first year, and they get paid 1% for the second year, 2% the second year, 5% the third year, so they get paid only if the person pays back the house. Then they would be incented to not give it to people who can't afford it. Or they would tell people don't get this house, it's too expensive. Because their commission would be based on, wouldn't that be a much better system? I don't know how to spell Jajimyeon, but I want a Twitter list. Anybody know how to spell Jajimyeon? It's a J-A?
Jajangmyeon.
Jajangmyeon, is it?
JJ?
It's Korean Chinese food.
It is Korean Chinese food, yeah.
You don't find this in
Maybe
China.
J-A-H or something like that. Maybe. I think the question actually.
I don't know how to spell it.
J-A.
Jajangmyeon. Jajangmyeon.
A-M-Y-O-N.
Jajangmyeon.
Something like that.
The question is depending on the which language it should be used for explaining the meal. I mean, Korean or Chinese or English. I think it's not English, but Japanese has a J-A-H.
That's Twitter. With the picture. Twitter, CC everybody who's in
Are you guys connected? Roaming?
Yeah, roaming. Show 3G.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I put it on the unlimited data, international. I've used 90 of 200 megabytes so far. This Jajangmyeon is good. Do you like it? The first time I had this, I hated it.
Yeah.
I had it in LA, and it was so bad.
So how did you meet your wife? Can I ask? By the way, you know, I'm pretty close to Joyce. I met Joyce when she was in Korea, and then right now we're like, you know, exchanging emails frequently. When she finds something interesting in Korea, she sends
You married?
me a link. Yes, I am.
You happy?
Yeah.
I'm trying to find her a husband. Do you have a brother?
My brother's very too.
Too bad.
I mean, Korean girls are pretty good, I guess. I mean, I know I sound weird, but my wife is Korean and she's great. Yeah. They can be a little bit demanding sometimes, but.
She came to my Taekwondo class. So I teach Taekwondo in New York, and I teach it in LA now. And she came to watch my class. It was her friend who wanted to learn Taekwondo.
Wow.
I was gonna try to find a Taekwondo class here, but the Taekwondo they practice here now is very much like the Olympics. It's not authentic. It's not real Taekwondo anymore. Is there any place where they practice old Taekwondo?
I would say. I mean, people do learn, but it's mostly like young guys, like kids.
It's not popular here.
Popular, I would say, but among the kids probably, and among the grown-ups, I would say. More like the martial arts type of thing, the Japanese like K1 type of thing. Or jiu-jitsu, which is Brazilian, right?
Good question.
Yes. So how do you think about the Japanese market or Asian market?
Right now, I think about it in a humble way, that we can learn. 10 years, for the first 10 years of the internet, I think 95% of the good ideas and companies came from America. I think over the next 10 years, maybe only 70% of the good ideas will come out of America. And then after that, who knows? But already I'm seeing that many of the good ideas, Skype, Last.fm, Naver, QQ and the video game communities, massively multiplayer games. A lot of the stuff is, I'll take some more water. It's coming out of the market here. So I think for Americans, this is one of the few markets where you can actually learn. What's hard as an American who's been in the internet business since the beginning. Say, we started in the business in '94. I was in '93, '94. I started on the internet, and it's hard for me to go somewhere and have somebody show me something, and I go, "Oh, that's really interesting. Or that's good," because a lot of it I've seen already. Even when I saw YouTube, I said, "I've seen this business 10 times." The only thing that was unique about it was the embed code. I said, "Oh, embedding code is interesting," but otherwise, this is silly. I've seen it before, so it's very successful, but it's not very new. I think there's some actually new stuff going on here, very innovative stuff. Although I think on our startup level, it's kind of disappointing because I think a lot of people don't like to take chances here. So that's, I think, crazy. Based on the number of good ideas, Japan, Korea should be more like Israel. So it's the same brain power, but much fewer startup companies. Everybody works for a big company. I guess everybody is scared to work at a people are nervous to do a startup company. It's not in the culture. So I think that there's a big opportunity here for the people working inside of Naver or Down for these companies to go out and start their own companies at some point.
Probably really hard to do a web startup in Korea, right?
You did it.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I did it.
You are very exceptional.
It's funny because previously I was working at Samsung, right? Samsung Mobile. It was a big company, and I was actually doing pretty fine. And I was really in good terms with the senior management and stuff like that. And then one day, I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna get out of the company to join this startup. And they were like, what? Are you crazy?
Well, that's the kind of reaction that I think keeps people from doing that.
It actually took me like more than 2 months to quit because people kind of like grabbed me all the time.
Well, maybe wanted to get you to get a psychological evaluation.
Probably, yeah. So if they just, let me go when I just say, okay, I'm going, probably not really feeling great. But then, so I mean, it was a very big transition, and in Korea, like a big company, actually, whenever you go to work, there's like someone telling you what to do. Like, so today we're gonna do this. Not like daily, but you have like your missions and deliverables. But once I got out of the big company, right, nobody actually told me to what to do. Right? It was pretty weird, but I kind of survived.
Where people tend to use neighbor down and sidewalk, and it's quite closed world, and I think it's quite difficult to get into, maybe get out people from this world.
Korea is a society that is very homogenized and pretty small. I mean, even though it's got like 50 million people, it's like a small country. Like everybody's like packed together. So I guess we don't have much diversity compared to US or Japan.
So how do you get users to your?
So one of our services actually made to the top 10 of Korean web services. We actually sold it to them because we needed cash and everything. But I guess we were one of the exceptional cases where obviously our company was a blogging company, and we started with a very small group of people, the bloggers, and they kind of perceived it as a kind of like a new culture. So we also had open source community in our company, not in our company, but along with us. So people, there was like a concept of open source in Korea too, but it wasn't really active for us. But so people kind of perceived as a new culture and things. So I guess we were lucky.
Yeah.
It seems very difficult until you do it. And it's very scary.
Yeah.
Until you live through it. But it's not so difficult. If you fail, you learned a lot. That's the attitude in America, especially the Valley, is if you tried and failed, you're smarter. In the rest of the world, every other place I go, if you fail, you're ashamed.
Yeah.
In some cultures, they kill themselves.
It's down as well, yes.
In the United States, you start another company. It's kind of interesting, There's a major suicide problem, it's a suicide rate with business people is high in Asia, right? In Japan specifically.
Yeah.
Failure is not acceptable.
Not acceptable, and if once failed, and the man who failed cannot try to the next stage or. Yes.
What about other parts of the U.S.? Would you say the same thing about the other parts of the U.S., or is it like a Valley thing or the U.S. thing?
It's a U.S. thing now. Because even if you look at celebrities, if a celebrity wants to get their career back, the best way for a celebrity who is not important anymore to get their career back is to have some tremendous failure and come back from it. Everybody likes the underdog in America. So,
in sports.
In sports and everything.
And respected by anyone else in the society.
So I think it transcends just the Valley, because America wasn't quite a penal colony like Australia, but it was a bunch of misfits who were sent to America or had no choice but to go, right? I mean, people who couldn't exist other places in the world for almost 200 years came to it. Not anymore, we don't let people in the country anymore, but we used to let people in our country. That's what made it great. And that's the reason why America has a big problem right now. The reason why America doesn't have all these leading companies is because the people would rather stay in their native country than come to America. A lot of the great entrepreneurs in the world would be doing it in America, they just can't get in. So this is probably one of the biggest problems in America, is that we're not letting the intelligent people from around the world in. America was built off of Europeans the intellectuals from Europeans moving to the United States for the freedoms. So political freedom.
I gotta go earlier, so see you guys at 2:30.
Okay.
Conversation.
For the better part of the 20th century, the most intelligent people in Europe came to America and started lives here because of freedom. They didn't want to live under tyrants. So they came here. They came to America. And they then brought all that intellectual firepower with them. And that's why we led the world in science, engineering, technology. Now, leading people go to Shanghai University instead of Harvard. And they go to Europe instead of the Bay Area or New York.